Okay, let's get started. Well, my name is Alexis. Welcome to Abstracta Academy. And thank you very much for joining us today. Uh, I will be dictating this Selenium test automation webinar. And well, as I said, some new people join. And just before I kick off this webinar, a few important things to keep in mind is that to feel free to ask questions during the webinar. You can do it on Zoom control panel, and please send them as private messages. And also for optimal viewing, please close all your unnecessary apps that you have running on the background. And also, if you have any technical issues, please send me a private message, and I will try to take care of it as soon as possible. Um, and well, some of the topics we will be working on today will be, well, obviously automation and its benefits, also JUnit, Selenium IDE, also Selenium WebDriver, page object, design pattern, and its benefits. Well, that's mostly all we will be covering. So, okay, let's go started. Well, what does to mean to automate? Uh, that's the first question. And well, by definition, is something like a process in which software tools execute prescripted tests on software application and before it's released into production, right? So I usually read some blogs. There is a cool one. Uh, its creator is Steve Rowe. It's a tester of Microsoft, and he said something like this: like in the beginning, tester has software to test, and they would push buttons, invoke functions, with different parameters. Those functions also verify that the behavior was as expected, and then these functions became more complex. And each time with more buttons, more sophisticated systems, also the tester couldn't handle all of it because it was huge. So developers had to wait too long for tester approval before releasing it for sale, the software they were working on. So therefore, the solution was an automated testing, which consisted or consists actually of something simple as a program, that runs the functions with different data, as I said, pushes the buttons, the same as the tester, right? And then programmatically verifies if the result is expected, if it is correct, right? So then the automated testing is generally used for smoke tests, regression tests, load tests, for example, and more. The smoke test is used, to catch the high-level functional errors of an application. So if there is a test fail, then further testing of the application stops, right? And the build is refused for additional testing until the build passes the smoke test. Also, regression testing, just a quick definition for all of them, is the process, right? When for testing the new changes didn't break the older functionality and ensure that older functionality still works, right? Um, with the new changes included. And well, load testing is also another process, right? To where you put simulated demand data and then you measure its behaviors under various conditions, right? Because we are varying that conditions and with different load. Well, what else? Let me show you. Right, smoke test, regression test, load testing. And well, another question, right? Why to automate? Well, first item, automating tests help increase the product quality. That's right. Reduce time to market. because finding errors right early allows the developers to correct them prior to release. And also, if it's easier for a developer to fix something that broke yesterday, let's say, rather than a few months ago, right? That that means that we are reducing cost, right, by allowing someone to to be run automatically, leaving the tester right to focus on a manual test and other more than complicated areas. Well, uh, we reduce the cost. We animate tester to test more often and more creatively, right? Leaving aside the routine and the boring tasks, because sometimes the tester gets bored of testing always the same, right? Also, another benefit that we have is we have the capacity to test in parallel, right? It's unattended and also on different platforms. We can run our test on different operative systems like Mac, Linux, Windows, and also on different browsers like Firefox, Chrome, IE, Safari, and much more, right? Um, and well, uh, let me give you a quick example, right? Let's say you have some new releases and bug fixes, right, in a working module. So how you ensure that the new bug fixes have not introduced any bug in a previous working functionality? You need to test the previous functionality, right? And so, will you test it manually, all the module functionality every time you have some bug fixes, or a new functionality addition? Well, you might do it, right? You might do it manually, but then you are not doing tests effectively, right? Effective in terms of company cost, resources, time. So here comes the need of automation. We can save time and money. So now I'm going to talk about something related to automated, right, versus manual testing. And well, we have some pros for automated testing, which will be if you have to run tests with repeatedly, automation will be of much help because it will do it really fast, right? Also, run tests, or when you have to run tests on code that changes frequently, this will lead to reduce the time taken for regression tests. Because if you are changing the code every 1-2 days and you take 1 day to run a regression, it will make things really fast and easy to test, and you don't have to run every test manually 2 or 3 times a week or more or less. Uh, it will do it really fast. Also, as I said, if you have to run combination of operative systems, right? If you have to run tests on Linux or Windows or Mac, uh, it can do it really fast and 3 times, right? One for Mac, one for Linux, one for Windows, and else. And resources will not get tired and can do it really fast. And also run tests in parallel. You can run more than one test at the same time. That's a really good thing about automating. And well, also manual testing have some pros, like if the test case runs only twice before a change in your code. Let's say for Black Friday, if you have some functionality only for Black Friday, it will run only once a year. So maybe the cost is really high to automate that. So maybe the benefit will remain to have it manually rather than automating that one. And also, right, it allows the tester to expand for further testing during the execution of the test case. You know, the tester can change the flow, or maybe it's try another thing to test while it's running a test case. And well, more bugs will be found because the tester can embed and thought of combination while browsing for the application. Well, let's continue. Uh, let's say something negative about that. Well, sometimes tool can be expensive, right? The automation tool can be expensive purchase. So it's important to only use the ones that will give us or your company full or close to full coverage, as you can find, right? Uh, in this case, we are using Selenium, which is free, so cost is not an issue. Um, Also, the creation of automated scripts may be more costly than creating test cases for manual execution. Yes, at the beginning, automation is little more costly, but after some iteration, the benefits are really high. The return of investment it's really positive. So um, let's say, for example, for automated tests, have some limitations. Sometimes automated test will detect most of the bugs, right, in your system, but there are some limitations. For example, the automated tools can't find or can test for visual consideration like images, colors, font sizes. So this can be only detected by manual testing. So which means that not all testing can be done with automatic tools. But actually nowadays are some tools that can be used for that. So uh, maybe you can try it. Well, going to manual testing. Well, manual testing, of course, can take too much time to be performed. So that's why automation born. And every time there is a change in the application, the tester should run regression tests. So that really take too much time, right? Well, other consideration that we must have is, well, uh, if we know and previously use the tool, we don't need to spend time on training, reading books, and getting to know how to use the tool. So we can start automating immediately, right? So the automation, whether the automation is costly or not, as there is says, it depends on our knowledge of the tool we are using. And always keep in mind uh, what is the cost and what is the benefit of the way we address, right, the test that we will perform. If we want to do it manually, if we need it manually or not, or we really need it automated. So we have to take that in account. So, and also, as I said, the knowledge of the tool is really important, and the skills, and also the number of test cycles. If I'm going to automate a suite and I'm going to only run 2 or 3 test cycles, maybe the cost is really high, and we can remain that to be executed manually. So now we're going to what is Selenium, right? Which is this webinar about. Well, Selenium, that is their logo. You can see it. And well, Selenium. Well, Selenium is a free open source. It's an automated testing suite for web application, right? Across different browsers and platforms. And it's quite similar to HP Quick Test Pro, QTP. Only that Selenium focuses only on automating web-based applications, right? Uh, Selenium is not just a single tool, right? But it's a suite of software, like each catering to different testing needs of an organization. It has different modules, 4 components, let's say, that I'm going to describe next. The first one we are gonna be working on will be Selenium IDE, which is a record and playback tool. We can record our script, and after that we can play back and see how it works, and add verification, and see that everything is running as expected. Well, also Selenium IDE, there is another good thing about Selenium IDE. It has ways of scripting tests without knowledge of programming, right? You don't need to know how to program. You can use Selenium IDE. And well, also it includes a specific language for writing tests, right? You can select from IDE. You can export what you recorded in different languages like Java, C#, Ruby, as that it says, PHP, and Python. Well, let's continue. I will describe the components that we have. Well. There are components. Well, the first one, Selenium IDE, right? As I already said, it creates and records automated tests. Then the second one is Selenium Remote Control, right? It's a server written Java. It accepts commands to the browser via HTTP for creating tests written in programming languages. Like we can use, as I said, Java, C Sharp, or another languages. Also, Selenium RC is called Selenium 1 because it was the first version. What else about remote? Well, no, actually, it's no longer being used. You can already use it, but you will notice new Selenium implementations are really cool and easier to use. So the next one, and is the one we're going to be working on, is Selenium WebDriver, right? As I said, it's the successor of Selenium RC. It doesn't require a special server to run tests. Instead of WebDriver, launches a browser and then Windows, right, and control it. Well, and the last one is Selenium Grid, right? It executes tests in parallel. You can use Selenium Grid when you have to run tests on parallel, right? Right? You can do it also on multiple machines, and that's really cool. And you can accelerate your test execution using that. Well, that is. Let me show you a table where we can see some pros and some cons. Well, Selenium IDE, it's really very easy to use and install. I will show you next. Really easy. It's a Firefox add-on. Well, you don't need, as I said, programming experience, but maybe if you know HTML or DOM, that will make your life easier. Well, you can also export tests to format usable in Selenium RC, also in Selenium WebDriver, different languages. You have inbuilt help and test result reporting module that is really cool, and also provide for support for extension, right? For example, if you want to develop some extensions, like Selenium IDE doesn't support iterations or conditional operation, but you can upload some user extensions, and you can add that functionality to Selenium IDE, but that functionality is not included. Well, some negative things about Selenium IDE is that it's only available on Firefox, right? It was designed only to create prototypes, not for real use and creating regression, even though there are some companies use it, but for writing more robust and real one and with more realistic verification, we need to use Selenium WebDriver. So as I said, they designed it for only for prototypes. It doesn't support iterations and conditional operation unless you add some user extensions. And the test execution, it's really slow compared to Selenium RC or Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver is really fast. So let's continue. And let's see, before we start, right, with Selenium IDE, I am going to explain what are web elements and how to locate them, right? So we can launch and play and test Selenium IDE. So Selenium use locators, right, to uniquely identify UI elements. So the more effective the locator we find and we use, the more stable the script will be, right? So what is a web element? A web element is an HTML element representation, right? Like a button or a drop down, a radio button, a text field, right? And Selenium needs to interact with them, interact with those buttons, radio button, text fields. So web element represent an HTML element. And each HTML element are written with a start tag on, right, and with an end tag. And the content is in between those tags, the beginning, the start, and the end tag. So uh, how to locate that? Okay, there are different ways to locate a web element, right? Here it comes the types of locators. The first one, right, is the ID. We can find an element using its ID. Also, if it has a property, right, an attribute name, we can use that attribute name. Also, if it's a link, we can use its link text. But if the link text is repeated, will not work, since we'll locate two elements or more, and we'll pick the first it finds, and probably we don't want the first link it found. So if we want another one, we need to try to use another locator to identify that web element. uh, Another way of doing it is by CSS locator, pardon, selector. So that's another way, CSS selector, and also by XPath, right? Locating by XPath is the one I really use when you don't have another way to locate an element. Let's say if you have an element without ID or name attribute or CSS, let's say, so you have to use XPath, right? XPath is a language used to locate XML nodes, right? But as HTML can be considered like an implementation of XML, we can also use XPath to locate elements in HTML, right? It has its advantages, like you can access almost all the items, even those without class or name or ID attributes, as I said. But it has some disadvantages because it's the most complicated method for identifying elements due to it has different rules and considerations. So sometimes it's really difficult to use, but I can show you. So let's go next for a Selenium IDE exercise, right? So please open your Firefox. I'm gonna do the same, so I can show you how to use it. This is my Firefox. Please let me know if my screen is correctly being shared and if you can see everything I show. Well, to install Firefox, remember I asked you guys to install Firefox 46 version. Let me show you. Okay, I see you can see my screen. That's fine. Let me. My version is 46. Remember to stop disable the automatic updates, since Selenium versions, newer versions, uh, doesn't work really good with the latest Firefox versions. That's that is because when Firefox releases a new version, they don't care if Selenium is working or not. They just release their new version, and then Selenium have to apply the fixes to to Selenium to start working again with the latest version of Firefox. So we recommend to use 46. Is the actual version, and that it's really behaving as expected. So how to install it? You can go to plugins. Sorry, my Firefox is on Spanish. This you can follow by the icons or plugins, and there, when you find the plugins, you must type Selenium IDE. and click the magnify or percenter, and will not appear on this list. Please don't install this. This is another complement. So open the list and will display the complete list. And you have to navigate to the bottom, and here is Selenium IDE, right? Then you have to add to Firefox. I will not do it. Will require a restart. So I will wait 1 or 2 minutes so you can do it, right? Then you have to click install. After you add it, I will cancel since I already have it, right? And after you do it, and please do it, you will notice that an icon will be added in the search bar. And if not, also you can find it in developer menu, Selenium IDE, or you can press Alt plus Control plus S, and must be displayed. So let's wait so you can do it. Please, by the time you did it, please let me know by chat if you have it. I will wait 1 more minute so you can get it installed. We also need to add some more plugins. Another one will be Firebug. You can see it, Firebug. Firebug need to be added. I will find it. This is the one, Firebug. Like Firebug is to inspect elements. It's similar to Firefox Inspector, but with more functionality. So we need to add Firebug. And the last one, but you need to have Firebug already installed, will be Firepath. Firepath. You can see this Firepath. It's an extension of Firebug plugin. I will type on our general chat the names for everyone. Will be Selenium IDE, Firebug, and the last one is Firepath. Okay, the same way, right? Add to Firefox and then install. I will hit cancel, and the same for Firepath. Add to Firefox. I will not install it. I will cancel it since I already have it, right? And you need to restart at the end. Okay. So you can open it Selenium IDE by pressing Control plus Alt plus S, or this little button, or from developer icon and Selenium IDE. And this is Selenium IDE, right? Well, let me show you some functionalities of Selenium IDE. First of all, the base URL. This will be, as it says, the URL, which will be the base of our test. In this case, we are going to use opencart.abstracta.us, which is a dummy page that we built in order to test Selenium IDE and other functionalities, and also Selenium WebDriver. So, well, in base URL we can type that URL, or once we open Selenium IDE, there you can see this red dot. It says now it's recording, and we can click it to stop recording. So every movement we do on the web browser will be recorded. So if I type open cart, that there is dot abstracta dot us, and hit enter, and let's say I will search for an iPhone. So I type iPhone and click the magnifying glass icon. If I open Selenium IDE, you can stop it. I will stop it from recording. There you can see some new lines were added to my script, right? So which are these new lines that were added? The first line, right? It's an open command. Open command, what we'll do, it's open a URL. Since we already navigated to opencart abstracta.us, will not open anything than this slash. So will be only the base URL, which we opencart.abstracta.us. We can remove it from the base URL, and we can simply click, right? If we click a command, we can see the description here, right? Arguments, URL, the URL to open, maybe relative or absolute, opens an URL in the test frame, right? So if I move the URL and I paste it here on the target, you can see automatically updated the target. So we will open opencart.abstracta.us URL, then we will type on a target. The target is this target where I type iPhone. This is the search text box where we're gonna find all our elements, right? We need to locate that. So I will show you next how to locate the elements. That's why we installed all the plugins. And after that, after the search on an element, we identify it by its name attribute equals to search, and the value we will type will be iPhone, which is fine. I typed iPhone, and then we will click and wait. Why we're gonna click and wait? We're gonna click the magnifying glass icon to search, that's fine, and wait. We use click and wait because we will click an element and a new page will be loaded, right? In this case, if I do it again, you will see we are under the home page, right? The title is your store. If I type iPhone and I click search, we navigate from the home page to the search, in this case iPhone page. It's a new page, so we need to use the command click and wait, right? All the available commands are listed here under command dropdown. You may find a lot of commands to interact, but the most commons are open to open a URL, click to click an element that will not redirect our script to other screen. If it will do it, we have to use click and wait, type to type an element, select for selecting from a drop down. We have also double click, as we can see here, or double click and wait. We will also for dragging and drop elements, and there are many, many more. We can, obviously we cannot go one by one, all of them. And well, what we did until now is open Abstracta open car, then type, search for an iPhone, and click and wait, right? Well, how we locate this element? Selenium IDE did it for us, right? But if we want to know how Selenium did it, okay, if we see here, let's find for an element named search. If we click find, if we click the element we want to locate, type name equal search, and we click find, we see how the text field is now on color yellow, right? And the same for click and wait. Now it's not yellow, it's a green, because the yellow is in the background. That's why we don't see it yellow. But you can see how the magnifying glass borders are green colored, right? And those are the elements. So let's open Firebug. You already installed it, and you have this new icon here. So we can click it and open it. And this new window will be open in our browser. And since we installed Firepath, this new tab was added to Firebug. So Firebug comes with all these tabs to cookies, right? But Firepath is the new one we installed. So if we click this little icon that it says we can click it, we can start pointing elements and finding their attributes. So let's go for the first one we want to type, which is this one, this text box, iPhone. If we remember, now let me show you here. It's an input, which its class is form control input /lg. The type is text because it's an input for we can text. It has a placeholder search value. It's iPhone, the actual value, right? Well, the name is search style background color RGB blah blah blah. So it has many attributes, and Selenium IDE identified by name search, and we can see it here, name search. That's why how Selenium IDE identified the element. So next, let's check the other element. It click it and wait the expand button, right? And a button, the magnifying glass button, right? This one. So let's find it. Okay, there are several ways to identify an element. In this case, Selenium did it this way, right? Fine, and it's locating it. But maybe, like, it's a button that it's fine, right? The type was a button, which is here, type button, and was declared here. But there are more than one button. That's why they added, Selenium IDE added the number 4, which is the fourth button. So let's try to find it. Number 4. Let's see how. Let's see. There are 11 buttons, right? 11 matching nodes. So that's why they added Selenium added a number 4. So I will suggest we can find it in a different way, and also we can use it. So I don't like this way. So we can find it. Let's point it again, the search button to interact. Uh, there. There is another way of identifying the element. It's all the element which ID is search. So let me show you. Slash slash this. Let me show you. Means all the elements, right? It's pointing all the elements. All the DOM, the HTML was color blue. Okay, so let's continue and show you all the elements where the attribute ID. Using @id, it means all the elements which attribute its ID, and the value is equal search. So let's find it. And now we significantly reduce the elements to be displayed. In this case, is this whole element that contains the text field and also the magnified glass button. Let me show you. We have an input, right, and another span, which inside has the button, and its color it's violet right now, right? This one. So inside this that ID element search, we have to find a button. So we can say inside this div ID search, which is an element, and the ID it's supposed to be unique. So we can trust in that and say, okay, element ID search, and I know, and we know, inside there is only a button, right? So we can say, we can use slash slash button, and there you go. We only have one element matching that node, and we do not depend if we have more or less button, and if the position is no longer the number 4, as we can notice in this, right? So we can replace that. All right. And there you go. It's finding it again, right? So this bar, fast and slow, is the way and the speed of the script we are going to execute. Let me close the Fireback. Okay, going back to Selenium IDE. So we can indicate the speed, fast or slow. Also, here is the name. In this case, is untitled, but we can save it. All right, so save this case. I will put it on my desktop. Let me create a folder. Selenium IDE scripts. And put in a name with search iPhone will be the name. And you can see now its name now is search iPhone, right? So I can create a new one. You can also create a new test case, right? Here is the new one. It's untitled. It's empty. I can select all the commands, copy them, and I can paste it in a new one. That's make really easy to use and cool. But this time I'm not going to search for an iPhone. So let's say I want to search for a MacBook. So I can update this command where I type it iPhone. I will search it for. I will change it for MacBook. And also I will save it, say this case. Let's name it search MacBook. Okay, so we have two. So if I want to run one of them, it's really quick and easy, right? This is the button we need to click. It's play current test case, right? It's the play button with only one green bar, right? The other ones, the other one is to play the entire test suite. This is a test suite, both of them. So let's play for iPhone and see how we do it. So let's hit play. Was really fast. Okay, let's do it again. As you see, maybe you don't notice, but open, type, and click commands are in green. So that means all the steps were correctly executed, right? Okay, let's do it again. Let's search to another page so you can see how it works. Okay, so I already moved the page. Let's click play. Play. Homepage, iPhone, click search, and there is it. Right? Let's try the MacBook one. Now how to search for a MacBook. Okay, there you go. So we're defined for my MacBook. And if I want to run all of them, and then MacBook, I executed the other one, right? Let's do it again. Search iPhone, search MacBook. So let's hit play. Again, play the entire suite, and you now see how search MacBook and search iPhone are green because they both executed. First one, searching for an iPhone, looking for an iPhone, and the next one for a MacBook. You can also see that on Selenium IDE, it says run executions 2, failures 0. So we don't have failures, we executed 2 tests. Let's say, and let's assume we wrongly type the ID for the where we are going to type the name. Let's say instead of name search, we misspelled it and we put another H, right? So if I click find, it's not going to find it, and one of my tests should fail and show me why it failed. So let's execute the first one, the current one, and you can see I executed one and one failure. So in the bottom, we can go to the log tab, and there it says the error, right? Error, locator not found, ID, search button, that's fine. Oh no, this is the one. Okay, here, the last one. Error, element name equals search with double H not found. Test case failed because the element was not found, right? So let's fix it. Find, it's again displaying it, and execute. Passes. Okay. Here in the target section, right, is displayed all the ways Selenium WebDriver can find an element, not only by name, also by CSS. You can see CSS input name search, input at name search, which is fine, name search. So if we find it with Firebug again, it must have an attribute name equals search. So maybe this is the best way to find it, because we only depend on element's name, right? So, and this also another ways to do it, by attributes or relative or by position, right? a div that only has one input inside. That makes sense. All right, so div, all the divs in the application, but this is not the home page. Sorry, let me navigate to the home page. And let's paste it again. Div. This is the only div that only has one input inside. But let's say tomorrow you have another text box, right? Another input inside a div. We'll find more than one element, which was what we experienced in search page. We have more than one. With the same XPath, we have 3 matches, these 2, and probably is another one hidden, right? No, this one is the other, is the third one, right? It's not hidden. Okay, that is Selenium IDE. How we can record it. Also, another functionality, we can export our scripts to, let me show you, export, pardon, sorry, here. Export, test case, and here are the different languages we can export it, right? To C# using NUnit and WebDriver, also C# using NUnit and remote control, and you can also do it for Java languages, Python, Ruby, right? In this case, we're going to export this just to take a look how it is scripted to Java, JUnit 4, and WebDriver, right? The third one, right? So let's do it, and we will later take a look. So let's search iPhone WebDriver. Let's type, and let's save it. We will take a look later, right? Well, let's go to the options menu, and we can take a look to another stuff, right? Well, this default timeout value of recorded command in milliseconds is as there it says, this is the default timeout value for which Selenium, in this case IDE, will wait for an element to appear. If the element did not appear after 30 seconds, it will fail our execution, right? You also have Selenium core extensions, which name is user extensions, is what we talk about adding more functionality, which is not included on default Selenium IDE. If you want to add loop statements, conditional statements, also if you want to read from a CSV file and practice some data parameterization, TDD, using Selenium IDE, you need to add user extensions in order to be able to run, to read parameters from an Excel file, right? And there are more also, another also cool functionalities you can enable and disable. You can read them here, like remember the base URL, you can remember it or not, record assert title automatically. A good thing to do while you are writing and recording Selenium IDE scripts, and not only Selenium IDE scripts, also Selenium scripts. It's adding verifications, right? Because here we clicked and open Windows, right? We need to add verifications and asserts, right? So let me show you that, because to the moment we open Abstracta, we type it and we search for an iPhone, and we click the magnifying glass, but we didn't verify that we receive an iPhone as a result, or a MacBook, right? So let me show you how can we verify that we correctly did that. So let me close Fireback, right? So we are on iPhone's screen. I will click in the last row of my table, and we'll enable recording again, right? So I am recording. So if I want to verify that mm, the product that is meeting the search criteria is an iPhone, I can verify it because here it says iPhone, right? So right click on iPhone, and here show all available commands, and here we can assert the text link iPhone, right? It will assert for a text, right, iPhone, on an element which has a text link iPhone. So that's fine, right? Let's click it, assert. And let's say I want to verify that the price is $123.20. So right click, show all available commands, and we can verify the price because I I care if I search for an iPhone and a MacBook was displayed. That is an issue. But maybe I don't care if the price changed. It's not a maybe it's not a bug for my company or for my product software. Okay, we can find it. We can change it anytime. So it's fine, but I want to verify it. I will not stop the execution, but I will alert that the price was changed. So we can use verification for that. So we can use verify, right? This one, verify text, and the price, right? Verify text. The difference between an assert and a verification is that the assert, if it fails, it stops the execution of the test. The verify doesn't. The verify allows the script to continue running. So let's go to our script. I will stop running. So we have an assert to an element, link iPhone. Let me find it, and you will see how it's yellow colored, iPhone. And I want to verify the text, right, of the elements which CSS equals p.price, find, you see, it's equals to $122.20 and 1021 taxes, right? So fine, it's fine. So let's execute it again, but with a verification now. The speed is slow. I recommend that to use the slow speed because sometimes if the speed is really fast, makes Selenium IDE test fails. So let's do it slow. Fine. Let's search for iPhone, and our verification both pass. So let's say I want to search for an iPhone, but the assertion we're gonna run, I not expect iPhone. I expect MacBook, right? Which will be an issue, right? So let's execute it. Well, actually, we'll run both suites, but no problem. The first one failed, and the second one passed. So let's check the first one. Here is the error. Element link MacBook was not found, right? And that's fine because I searched for an iPhone in my script. Let's execute it individually. Or I can do it in this way also. Link, which is fine, iPhone, and the value MacBook. This is the way, exactly. This is the way we must do it. So let me find it. Let's execute it again. So the assert will fail. The previous one failed because it didn't find the element. This says this is the assert error. So sorry for the previous test. We only verified that the element didn't appear, and it failed because it didn't find the element which link was MacBook. Was trying to find an element which attribute link was MacBook, and it didn't appear. But now the element link equals to iPhone. If I find it, it appear, but the value iPhone, not. Didn't match MacBook. Exactly, because I'm trying to find a MacBook, but it's iPhone. And you will notice that verify text, the verification didn't run because it's white, right? We have the first three in green and the fourth one, the first three exactly in green. The fourth one is red because it failed, and the fourth one it's in white color because it wasn't executed, right? So uh, let me switch these ones. So the verify will execute and then the assert. So now the verification should execute, but the test still will fail, right? Okay, failed, but the verification was executed. So let's change now the price for an incorrect one. I will expect instead of 123, 223, and execute it. So let's see what happened. Searching for an iPhone. Okay, there you see the verify fail, right? Because it's red. Let's see the log. Actual value 123 didn't match 223. I was expecting to receive 223 instead of 123. So the verification failed, but it didn't stop the test from running, right? It executed the assert. That's the difference. Okay, so let's fix it. 123 and MacBook for iPhone. Let's run it again. Okay, or green, we are fine. Well, another thing we can do, right, is we can schedule the script to be executed. You can set up one. You can say okay. You can set the suite. You can put a job title and indicate which days, hours, minutes you want them to be executed, right? So your test will be executed by the time you indicate. If you indicate to be executed every 5 minutes, it will do it, or tomorrow at 4 p.m., it will do it, right? So that's it, all related to Selenium IDE. Hope you understood how it works. Uh, what else I can show you? Let me see some options. You can use locator builders here inside the option locator builders. You can drag and drop, and if you want, this is how Selenium IDE find the elements, right? So let me reset. The first locator that Selenium IDE try to find is the UI, but I will drag and drop, and let's say first is the ID. Then if there is no ID, you can try to search it by name, then by link text, then CSS, let's say, right? I would use this order: ID first, name, links, and CSS, right? Okay. Let's continue. Let's talk about JUnit. Okay, we'll close it, or I will not save it. But first, let me show you some IDE scripts. You see the scripts we save are in HTML, but when we save we export it to Selenium JUnit and WebDriver. This was the file that was created. So let's open Sublime, let's say, I am using a free version, which is not registered. Okay, Java. This is what was created. Let me zoom. There you can see the script in Java using JUnit. Right? We're gonna switch to this after JUnit, and we will actually write this code. Right? Well, let's close this, and let me show you the HTML code. This is how Selenium IDE record our scripts. It's really simple. You see, it's the table row, right? It's a table, and between table rows there are some table data, which the first table data for every table row, it's the command, which is open, and then, right, the target, and the value if we have it. In this case, we don't, but in this case, yes. The command is a type, the target is this input, right, and the value it's iPhone, and so on. Also, you can import on Selenium IDE scripts that didn't were created by you. You can also import the scripts. Okay, let's close this and resume the presentations. So if you have any questions, please send me some questions by private message, and I will answer them as soon as possible. Right? Well, that was Selenium IDE exercise. Well, now we're gonna talk about JUnit, right? So, JUnit. Well, JUnit is an open source framework, right? That was designed for writing and running tests in Java. It has a graphical user interface that make it really easy to write, and it's possible to write and test code quick and easy. Also allows the developer, in this case we are the developers, right? We are automation developers, to build the test suite and to measure progress and detect unintended side effects, right? Because when you write your code and you are making changes and writing new functionalities and features, as a developer I am talking right now, uh, probably you introduce some issues. And if you have a unit test, you can find those issues earlier. As we spoke before, the earlier you find the issues, the the cost to fix it, it's really low. It's if you have a bug in production, the cost is higher to fix it. So writing unit test, we can cover us from having bugs in production. Okay, so well, what else? Well, tests can be run continuously using JUnit. The results are provided immediately, right? JUnit show the test progress in a bar that normally, I will show you, but normally is green, right? But when some test fails, it turns to red, right? So green it's good, and red it's something is going wrong. And that's it. The simplicity of JUnit make it possible for the software developer, right, to easily correct the bugs that they found, right? Okay, let's continue. What does a unit testing framework do? Okay, a unit testing framework provide a set of basic functionalities, right? For automation checks and text execution, also for data management, we can implement data parameterization (TDD) using these unit frameworks. In this case, as I said, we're going to be working with JUnit. Also, we can classify the tests if the tests are going to be executed on a regression or smoke. We can tag them. and also the results log, right? That's another benefit. It's not a good practice to have console outputs in our test, like system.out that print an error. No, we can use the unit test framework we are using functionality to perform that on our test and log our results, right? So we have a test class, right? We are gonna be writing tests, so we need to have here comes the need to have a test class. And what does a test class have? Okay, we can identify 4 things, at least at the beginning, right? We have a setup method, right? Where we're gonna initialize and prepare all our needs, right? In this case, we will prepare the status of the application, right, to perform the test. Like here you can open database connections, or if you need data from external sources like an Excel or CSV file, you must do it on setup method, right? Then you have right the test steps where you run the actions that we want to test. Actually, there is the test. That's fine. Then we have assert, right? After we execute, right, the test, we need to verify that it works as expected. So we have asserts, right? And we also have a cleanup, right? Actually, it's a method. Well, after we finish, we need to leave, there it says, we leave everything as it was before, right? So if we created users, if we deleted users, if we modified something in the application, okay, we need to clean all, right? And leave everything as it was, right? So every time we execute an automated test, the environment will be the same, with same users, with same data. In other way, we're going to break our scripts, and our script will be only be able to run one time. Then that is not cool, right? And so as we can read, right, this ensures that the tests are independent, that no matter the order in which they run, the state of the system will remain unchanged, right? Okay. JUnit uses annotations, right? Have annotations. The first one, I'm going to describe some of them. They have many, but the most important are these: is the before class. Is this notation, right? Means that the method that contains it runs once before any of the test methods in the class, right? The next one is after class, runs once after all the tests in the class have been run, right? So after all the methods in the class were executed, okay, the after class will execute. The before will do the same, but before all the tests. The notation test, right, it's the test method to be executed. We can have more than one test in a test class, right? Well, before this notation run means that the method we indicate as we tag as before will run before every test, right? So a before method can be executed many times before a test. And the same with after. Run after means that this method that we annotate as an after will execute after a test was executed, right? So those are the 5 most common and used. There are more, and we will probably see some more now. So let's perform an exercise in JUnit. Let me open JUnit. Sorry. Yes, JUnit and Eclipse. So please open your Eclipse. maybe you have a different version. I have the latest one, but most of them are the same since I have been using Selenium for the last 5, 6, 7 years and more. Um, Only really cool and small changes have been happening, but for this, you will not find any difference. So let me know if you, again, if you have any problems, if you were able to, not able to open clips, and if you find something different that I am explaining, I will take some time and answer your questions. Okay. So once you open your Eclipse, we need to create that Java project. So the way we do it, there are many different forms, right? We can right click on Package Explorer. Sure. Uh, let's say I can give you. People is asking me to provide them some minutes. So sure, no problem. I can wait. You already have Eclipse installed, so I can give you some minutes to do it. We are on time, so not big deal. I will just wait. I'm going for some water, so we'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. Or let's say I will be back in 10 minutes. So you can download it if you didn't. You can go to the restroom, bring some water. We will be back. Right? See you in 10 minutes. Okay, we are almost back. So let's wait 1 more minute. Okay, we're back. So as I was saying, let's create a Java project. There are different ways. You can click on File, New, Java Project. I usually do secondary click or right click in my case, uh, New Java Project. So we'll name it Selenium Mariner, right? I am using Java 8. You can change it, but in my case, I will not. And click Finish. This will create a basic Java project with a Java runtime environment library, in this case 1.8, and a source package. So inside the source and main package, let's create a new package, and we can name it JUnit. So my intention here is show you how JUnit works, show you the Java notation before class, after the test methods, and getting to know how everything works together. So let's name it JUnit and finish that it's created a JUnit package. And well, we can now create a JUnit test class, right? Which will be the class we're going to be testing. So right click, new. We can create a basic class, but there is a cool way of doing it, which is inside Java. You will find it this way. So you can click Java. Inside Java, there is a folder JUnit, because JUnit it's included on Eclipse, and if you use another IDE like NetBeans or IntelliJ, you will probably have to add it. But this it's cool stuff that it's included on Eclipse. So you open JUnit folder, and there you will find two options: JUnit test case and JUnit test suite. I will select JUnit test case. Another way of finding it is just using the filter. You can type JUnit, and it will display everything you need. So JUnit test case. Next. Well, this is the source folder, JUnit. Please note you can use JUnit 3, which is the older version, or JUnit 4, which is the newest one. So please select if it's not the new JUnit 4 test, right? Okay, so the name is empty, that's fine. I will provide a name. So I will use JUnit. Remember, by convention, the test classes must, core classes must start with uppercase. So I will do it in lowercase just to see what it says. Like type name is Scottish. By convention, Java types name usually start with an uppercase letter. So let's do it by convention. Will be JUnit test, right? Also, which method stubs would you like to create? We can click all or unclick. So we can do it. Let's unclick all once. So let's create an empty class and click finish after the name. Okay. JUnit 4 is not on your build path. Do you want to add it? Okay. So JUnit was added. Well, as you can see, the name of the class is JUnit, and we only have one method, which name is test, right? The signature is test, it's public. It's void because it doesn't return anything. The name is test, right? No parameters included, and it has this sentence that it's fail. What does fail means in JUnit? Failed, it's like an assertion, right? Which is not true. Let's say if I want to assert true something, uh, and this is false. But instead of using an assertion, if this line is executed, my test will fail and will display this message. So let's execute this test the way it's now, and you can see how it fails. So to execute it, right click on here in any place or in the test, right click, and you will find an option which is run as, right? JUnit test, right? Okay, we'll do it. This new tab will appear close to Package Explorer, and there you will see the name of the test, in this case, test, which was the name we gave it, test, right? The time it took to be executed, 2 seconds, right? And this is similar to Selenium IDE. Here is displayed the runs, one run, no errors, it's fine, one failure. So we have one test failure. Why we have one test failure? Because line number 11 was executed, which is fine. And in the failure trace area, it says java.lang.assertion error, not yet implemented. Is this text, right? And the line number in JUnit test.java, number line 11, the error. Where was the error? So here it's fine. So if I comment this and save and execute it again, it will pass. It's an empty test, right? We don't have any code inside it. So it doesn't make sense to have a test with no code inside. But it was just, my intention was to show you that the error was coming from that line. And if I uncommented and we said Abstracta, I can show you, and I will change the test name, test Abstracta. And I save it and run as JUnit test will fail. And you can see here Abstracta not yet implemented, which is text on number line 11. And the name of the test is test Abstracta, which is this name. Okay, so let me show you the other notations. Let's start typing at before class was one of the notation. Before, if I control space, will probably suggest me. We have before and before class. I will select before class, right? And I will create a method which must to be public. So public void, which will not return. It must be static to access it. Okay, public static void, right? And let's set the name setup. Let's say setup before class. So before class, right? And my keyboard is not in English. Let me. Where are my? Okay, sorry, my keyboard is not in the language I regularly use it. Just a second. Let me try to change it. Need a minute. Let me go to my settings. try to quick fix it. Keyboard. Dun, 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 dun. In a minute. Sorry, guys. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. Let me share my. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's try to continue. Okay, so for class here. Okay, set up before class. Okay, so let's try to print something on the before class. You can type sysout if you didn't know sysout, control plus space, right? Sysout. If it works. Okay, sysout. Okay. So let's write this before class. We can execute this and you run as only one then. Okay, it's fine because this is failing. I will comment this line. Run as unit test. In the console we can see before class. Inside the test I will write something like test one. Well, we also need to write the before class. Then we also talk about after class. We need to import that also. Import after class JUnit. You can see the imports here. Also the imports we are not using. Control Shift letter name O later. So Control Shift O will remove all unused imports. So I just did it and clean up the assert import we were not using. Let's declare another method. So a public, right? Static void tear down, because we're going to use this to tear down our tests. Tear down after class, right? Let's again sys out, and let's type something like after class, right? Then we also need that before. Remember, before and after class methods we run. Okay, before class after all tests, right? And after class we write after all tests, right? Before, remember, we'll run. Let's add this import also before the unit. Before we'll execute before each test we write we have, right? So again, public void, right? Setup, let's say, having a name, okay. Um, we will do the same, sysout, let's put before, okay. And the same for after, JUnit, okay. We need to, the import is fine, okay. So public, right, for after would be void tear down, okay. And let's after, and let's execute this and see what's happened. Okay, so right click, run as JUnit test, and let's see what's going on our console. So in this console, right, you can see the before class, which is starts on number 13, was executed. Then, as there were a test, the test it's on number 34. It before executed the before method, which is actually in line number 24. After that, the test, before the test finish, right? After the test finish, sorry, was executed the after method. In this case, our after method starts on line 29 and the tag is on number 28, right? And as there were no more tests, was executed the after class method. In this case, the after class method, it's on our line number 19. So if we add another test, let me show you. I will copy paste this, change the name, obviously. This Abstracta 2, and let's rename the output to 2. And if we execute it, we have now 2 tests. And let's see what's going on. Run as, again, JUnit. So the before class and after class only were executed once, which is fine. But before and after, again, before and after were executed before test number 1 and after test number 1, 2 times each, right? There are also another cool stuff we can do with JUnit. Let's say, for example, what I can show you. Let's say we are expecting to have an exception in our test. So if we unit test something and we expect an exception, we can use inside the test tag, right? We can use the expected command equals, right? And let's say I want to, I don't know, a null pointer exception or an index out of bound exception, whatever. So I don't know. Well, let's say index out of bound exception. So I can index, it's control space. I expect an index out of bound exception dot class, remember, right? Let's assume this test, what it's trying to say is, okay, I expect to have an index out of bound exception class, right? So as you can see, the test Abstracta number 1 failed, and the assertion says expected exception Java index out of bound exception, and the second test was fine, and we have 2 runs, no errors, 1 failure, right? And the failure was, as I said, it was expecting an index out of bound exception. So let's give this method an index out of bound exceptions. So an easy way we can do it is just initializing an array list, right? So a new array list, and sorry, there, new array list of strings, let's say, or whatever, right? An array of strings dot get, and I will try to get the number 1, right? I'm having a small issue here coding array list. Ah, there is my mesh. Sorry. So let's import this now. Import the array list from Java. Okay. So the first and the second actually element of this array list was never loaded, so I must have an index out of bound exception, and my test should pass. So let's execute it and see what's going on. Run as, remember, JUnit test, and green again, because I receive my index out of bound exception. Okay. Another and last thing I want to show you is, assume you have only, you expect your test to last less than 20 seconds. So you can set a timeout. There are more, but you can search for them and read JUnit documentation on official page. And you can get all this info. And let's say I have 700 milliseconds to get my test timeout. Sorry, timeout. Okay, to pass. So I will use a simple thread sleep, right? To thread out sleep, and I will give a, this throws an exception, so let's throw it. Okay, interrupted exception. So this test expect 700 milliseconds to pass, but my test will take 800. So this test, the test Abstracta 2, should fail, and the error must be displayed on the failure trace. So let's execute it. Okay, save it and execute it. So one pass, and here is the exception. Test timeout exception, test time out after 700 milliseconds, which is fine. So let's reduce it to 600, and this must pass. JUnit test. Okay, that's it. Everything is green again. Okay, this is about JUnit. As I said, you can continue reading the documentation, and you will find more and more examples, much more examples, and also another cool notations. In this case, we're going to use before class, after class, before and after, and also test to work with Selenium and WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver, and creating our scripts, right? So let's continue with our PPT. Let me open it. So we already spoke. Okay, so we already spoke what we have, the notations, right? And now we did the exercise. Okay. So now we're gonna take, let me open just in case the chat, in case anything you need, just ping me. I don't want to miss any chat. Okay, and this is the chat. Okay, sorry. I'm back. Okay, let's talk about the design pattern page object, right? Which is really important when we are writing scripts and doing automation, because it's a really good practice to use page object pattern, right? So what is page object? Well, It's a technique, right, for structuring test code that, okay, promotes reuse and reduce duplication. Yes, you will notice we'll be writing much less code, right? Make tests readable. Yes, much more readable. You can read and script and understand what is going on. What are we coding? What are we writing? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to verify, right? The test will be much more robust. Will be more difficult to break an script using page object. And if it breaks, will be really easy to fix. Also improves the maintainability, particularly if the application is rapidly evolving, right? When we have an application that changes really frequently, the code, right? It will be really easy to fix and maintain. And why is duplication so bad? I don't know if this happening to you uh, sometimes. Uh, that a small change in your application, right, causes several test failures. That happened to me many times, and that it's tedious. When you face that that a new release is coming or a new feature or what else comes into your code, into a new version, and you run your automated suite and you get tons of failures. So if you have duplicated code, it will be a mess to fix everything. So that's why duplication is really bad. So the code is less maintainable. Yes, of course, you will have to spend much more time to fix it. What happens is that your productivity, if you duplicate code, it's really high for the very in the very beginning of the project, right? For the first few tests, because you duplicate code, you do things really fast and you script really fast, but you start duplicating code, and that uh, leads to decrease the maintainability of your test, right? Because your test suite starts growing, and you have tons of duplicated code, and every time a new change comes, you have to maintain lot of lines of code. So please don't duplicate the code. So how can we do it better, right? Uh, well, there are some things we can do, right? We need to eliminate that duplication, right? For doing that, we must build abstractions, right? So if you have common code methods, so you have to pull them into a base class, right? That was the first intention of the page option. Okay, let's put that on a base class. So all of the tests, right, can uh, access to those methods, and all those methods uh, will be only in a base class, right? But as the suite start growing, right, also does the base class. So again, we face issues because things start getting bigger, right? The base class start getting too big, right? And fixing the test will require more work, right? That the change that caused the failure, because maybe the developer was 2 or 3 hours coding the feature and introduced the failure, but in the automation team we spend uh, 1 day or 2 days trying to fix all the tests due to a small fix. So that's what is happening. So how to run your base class, right? Because it's start getting really big. So you have to pay attention and check that your base class, right, for any given page you have, right, most of the behavior doesn't apply, right? You have your page, your base class, and you have methods that you can use in your page. A quick example that I imagine and I wrote there is that you can change your password on the view cards page, right? Assume we are on Abstracta open card web page, and we are on the home page or on the view card page. Uh, um, we can change the password there, but if we refer to a base class, we will have access to a public method to change password, but I can't change the password of view card page. What is going to happen is that I can call the method, yes, it will compile, yes, but on runtime, we'll try to find elements that will not be displayed, like the user password, recovery user password text field, for example, something like that. Or new password, or repeat your password text field will not be displayed on that page, right? So the idea is, what if we move the page-specific behavior, right, into a corresponding class? Let's say if I want to change the password, we have to move all the methods related to change the password to um, settings page or recovery password page, right? So if I invoke that page, okay, it's fine to receive and get and could use all the methods related to settings or change password page, right? So voila, there is the page object born, right? So let me show you an image so you can identify what I'm talking about, right? As you can see, for each HTML page, in this case, let's say we have 3 of them, right? A page object must be created, right? What you do is like you model the UI, right? Right? You model the UI in your tests, and this has many advantages, right? You model the UI in your page objects and has many advantages. For example, you will write the test more clear. The test will be really clear when you write them, and we will see it. You encapsulate all the information about the element of the application in that page object, right? Another advantage is, and you can see it in the image. A page object can be used on different tests. This is Selenium test script, another Selenium test script, and all these Selenium test script can use one or many page objects. For example, this one is using 2 page objects. The one in the middle is only using 1 page object, and the one on the top and the bottom left is using 3 page objects. But all of them are using the same page objects. So that it's what I tell you about not duplicate code. So will be all included on the corresponding page object. Okay, let's continue. So the page object, right, exposes the method that are reflect things a user can see, right, and do on that page, right? So if I am in the home page, I can on Abstracta homepage, I can search for an item, I can navigate to other areas of my application, I can click the links on the footer and other functionality, but that must be on the home page, right? For example, the methods are like I add an item to a cart, get price, click save for later, right? Those are methods that I can do on a home page, right? And you hide the details, right, of telling the browser how to do the things. So in your test, you don't need to have, right, Selenium methods and instructions on your test. If you have in your test class Selenium calls, you are not doing it right. Okay? You are doing it right if you had your tests without Selenium references. Okay? You only need to have references to your page objects. Okay? So let's work on an exercise of Selenium page objects and starting with WebDriver. So for doing that, I will reuse the same project we were using before, right? The only thing I am going to create is a package. Let's create another package. So Package Explorer. Again, anything you need, just please send me a private message so we can fix it as soon as possible. Okay, so please step on source, right click, new, package. If you cannot do it, no worry. We will send you this video, which we are recording, and you will have all this material. So don't worry. So let's put a name to my package. In this case, I will write test, because here will be my test. And inside it, let's create our first tests. So class here. Need to click class. Let's type test search, and we'll put a number because I want to start writing the test and show you how it works from the beginning without page object, and then we will add page object and see how everything it's getting better, right? So test one will not include the page object pattern. We'll include it later. And the way we are gonna script, and I am going to script the test search one, is the way Selenium IDE exported. So the file I already show you, I will write it and I will do it the way it does, right? But it's not the best way to do it. We will improve it test by test, right? So we are starting with test search one. Okay, so package, okay, so it's fine test inside Selenium webinar src. Okay, it's fine. Finish. Note that I didn't create a JUnit test, right? Because I am going to start using JUnit notations, and as I use JUnit notations, I can use run as JUnit test, right? This option. For example, if now I created my class, I right click or secondary click, run as, I don't have JUnit option. So once I add JUnit notations, will appear and will enable me to execute my class as a JUnit class. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we need to do is add the libraries I already asked you to download, right? So the way we need to add the libraries, I will show you. How you notice you need to add the libraries, because if we need to use, let's say, I will declare a private element, which name will be WebDriver. This is Selenium itself, and I will name it driver, right? So I receive an error here. It says WebDriver cannot be resolved to a type. It means my Eclipse IDE doesn't know what is WebDriver. So what is WebDriver? I must tell my project, and I add external shards libraries. How we do it? We click the project, right click, we navigate to build path, configure build path, right? You must click add external jars. So I want to downloads. In downloads, I have Selenium Java 2.53.1, which is the one we asked you to download. Here it was the download, right? I did it yesterday to be prepared for today, and I uncompress it in this folder. So when you unzip the file, you will find this folder, which will have these two jar files and also a lib folder. So please copy these files. I already did it, so I will not do it, and paste it inside libs. So you will find it inside, right? So you have to select all, Control E on Windows, Control A on Mac, and click on Open. And I added all my libraries. So we'll click OK. So you will see here a new referenced libraries section was added, and you will see all the libraries, external libraries, and where are located, like C user, Lexis, downloads, Selenium, and that for all of them on referenced libraries. And now, if I click here, I will receive an option to import WebDriver from org.openqa.selenium. So that means my external shards libraries were read and accepted by my Selenium framework and referenced. So I can use it or .open.qa.selenium WebDriver. So now I have an object driver, right? So another thing that we need, it's another private, we can declare a private string, right? Which base URL, remember, sorry, remember we use a base URL on Selenium IDE. Okay, so we can define a private string base URL, and let's type the address to OpenCard Abstracta HTTP opencard.abstracta.us. Okay. Also, private, we need to declare a string buffer, private string buffer, verification error, oh, verification errors equals to new string buffer. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, a string buffer, it's from Java, right? This kind of this class. Here you can see it's on java.lang.dog string buffer. Like it's a state safe mutable sequence of character. A string buffer is like a string, as it says, but can be modified at any point in time. Right? We're gonna use that to log the errors. Okay. So being declares those variables, let's start creating our first test on Selenium WebDriver. So we need the tag. Let me show you. Right click, run as, still not enable JUnit execution. So test, we will declare our first test public void, right? Test one, I will use the same name. And I will say, okay, my driver instance, I will declare it new. Here we will set in which browser are we going to run our test. In this case, the default one and is included on Selenium library is Firefox. You want to execute the test on other browsers, you need to use another drivers which are not included. You have to download Chrome driver, for example, or iDriver or a Safari driver, and you will be able to find them on Selenium HQ webpage, the official page. And you have to download it, save it on your local machine on a given folder, and then you have to reference that when you are declaring the Firefox, the instance the browser you want to use. In this case, as we use Firefox, we don't need to do that. So it's just enough to type Firefox, control space, Firefox driver, right? You can see the import is here. So you only need to write Firefox driver, and that means you're gonna try this on execute this on Firefox. Here we need to import JUnit here, JUnit. Please, notice that you have pay attention. You have two kind of imports: test from or.junit and test from or test-ng annotations. Please be sure to select junit and check it on your imports. If you selected by mistake test-ng, please delete the import and import it again. Right? Test-ng it's another unit test framework that it's really cool too. I have been using it and have some cool stuff you will be able to use. But the same happens with JUnit, so you can choose either of both. Okay, so driver Firefox. What are we going to do next? Selenium give us uh, the capability of uh, find for an element. When we find for an element, we can set the time, the default time Selenium will wait for an element to appear. So if we try to find for a button text field and it doesn't appear, our test will fail. But we can let Selenium know how many times we want to wait. So how we do it is with the with sentence. It's driver dot manage dot timeout, right? Then implicit wait, how to use implicit waits. It receives two arguments, right? The first argument it receives is the seconds, right? So it's an integer. You can send 30. We want to wait 30, and it receives a time unit. You can see the second parameter. It's time unit, right? And the second argument. So the way you do it's time, right? Unit dot, and here it displays days, hours. So you have to use seconds. So in the line number 19, we are telling Selenium we are using Firefox. In the line number 20, we are telling the Selenium have to wait up to 30 seconds to find an element. If Selenium finds it in the second number 5, it will stop the wait time and resumes the execution, right? Okay. So now we will let Selenium, we will indicate the driver dot get. Get is another function of Selenium that is where we say to which web page to open, right? In this case, we will open base URL. We already defined it. It's here. So we will open OpenCAR Abstracta US. So let's save it and execute only this test. So right-click, run as, and now, as I told you, it appears JUnit test because we are using this notation. So run as JUnit test. So my Firefox must open and navigate to opencar.abstracta.us, right? And that's it. We just created our first test on Selenium using WebDriver. We still have some things missed here. How to close, because it finished and it didn't close, and we didn't add verification. So I will close it. But you can see it's green, our test passed, and it took almost 9 seconds to execute. So let's continue scripting our test. So what do we need to do next? Okay, we need to, once we are on OpenCart, right, the home page, we need to type here iPhone, right? And how we do it? Okay, we need to identify this element. So we can search it, iPhone, right? And remember, we can use this locator, for example, to find it. So I will cut it. I will come here. I will paste it here. I will use it now. So the way we find the element, it's like this: is driver dot find element, and we must say how we're gonna find it. So we need to use by dot, how we're gonna find it, by class name, by a CS selector, or by ID, by link test. You will see here by name. So we're gonna use XPath in this case. So because we have an XPath, so by XPath, and as a string we must pass the XPath, which is this we already cut from the page, the previous page, right? By XPath. So we find here the element, right? But we are not doing anything. We are only finding it. So once we find it, what we want to do? Type, right? We need to type iPhone. So I can dot, and these are all the functions Selenium provide me to interact with an element. We can clear, we can click it, right? We can still find elements. Once we find an element, we can continue finding its children. That's why find element or find element is displayed, get an attribute, and main things. Ask if it's enabled or if it's disabled, if it's selected, in case of a checkbox, right? So we have here we have send keys. Send keys simulates a user typing, right? So we are gonna send keys as a string, the word iPhone, right? Let's execute this and see if iPhone it's type. It took some minutes because it had some seconds because it had to open Firefox iPhone. There it goes, right? So it means it located the text box by ID, by name, and it wrote the iPhone word here. So, okay, what's next? Click on the magnifying glass, right? So again, magnifying glass, I will make this locator better button. So I'll copy this element, I will paste it here, and again, driver dot find element by dot XPath in this case. I will paste it, the XPath from the magnifying glass button, and I don't need to. I can send keys, but nothing will happen. So what I have to do is to click it, right? Okay, so let's save, Control S, okay, and let's execute it. Run as JUnit test and see what's going on. It must search for an iPhone and click search. And we must be redirected to search page. iPhone, click. Okay, there it goes. We are on the search page now. We search for an iPhone. We click the magnifying glass button, and the iPhone is displayed. Okay, okay. Let's continue. Hope you are following me. Any questions, please send me a private message. I can answer now or later, but I will do it anyway. Okay. So what we can do next? Now we can try to assert, right? Remember, we need to verify now that here iPhone word is displayed and here the text is displayed. So how we do it? Let's go first to verify the text. Let's verify this. So let's find. Let's search for iPhone. Sorry, iPhone, and let's try to find this element. Right. So I will copy this. In the next script, we're gonna improve the locators, right? But now I want to only show you how it works. So what we are gonna do, okay, we need to type assert. It's a library from our unit framework. So assert equals uh, assert from shade unit. Sorry, equals. Let me type it. And what we're gonna do is, okay, assert equals received can receive up to two parameters. So the first one, if the text to display, if the assert fails. So we can say three parameters, sorry. We can say assert fail price. Then we have to add the text to compare. So the text to compare in this case, let me type it, is something like, let's go to the page, the price. Please notice is 123.20 and X tax 101. So I will write this that one. So it's $sign 123. There is just a second. Then we type backslash. Okay. As you will notice, the price is in two sections. Is 123.20 and then comes X tax 101. So we must add 123.20 backslash n. That means, and switch to the next line, right? X tax there says X tax, right? Point, and the price of the tax was 101.00. Okay, and we need to find the element which have the price. In this case, is driver dot again dot find element by dot xpath, and we have to find the element. So the element which have the price is this one. So we'll copy this, as I already did, but just in case again, the xpath, find the element. Okay. After we find the element, dot get, sorry, here get text. With get text function, we can retrieve the text of a given element. So get text, and so we need to add the import. So let me reduce this size. Let me explain this again. So this assert, what it's going to do is, will check if the price, the text of a given element is the text we are expecting. Which is the text we are expecting? $sign 123.20, in the next line, X tax $sign 101. And which is the element which has that text? It's driver.find element, right? We have to do it by text, and this is the element. And once we have that element, we need to get its text. And we'll compare this one and this one. If it's not the same, we'll display this message, assert fail price. So hope I write this fine, because in other way will fail, right? But I am paying attention, and it seems I did it right. Nothing missed. But let's see what's going on. Run as JUnit test. So it's open car page, iPhone, and now it must have finished, and the price was the same. Let's say I expect, instead of 123, I expect 223. So I will save it and run again, and now my test should fail. Must fail, not should, must fail, because the price is not the same. Okay, it finished. It failed. And in the failure trace, you can see org.junit comparison failure. Assert fail price. Expected 223 x, but was 123. And between square brackets, it's the difference 2, 1. So our test is failing. So now, finally, we have our first Selenium WebDriver script, which is searching for a product, and then checking its price. But now we need to check also its name, its label, right? Because if here it says, let me close other instances. If here it says MacBook, my test will pass because the price is fine and we are not verifying iPhone its display. So let's do it. So assert. In this case, let's use another way. So it's assert equals again. Assert equals. Sorry. Assert equals. Let me see why it's deprecated. Okay, was removed. Okay, so now let's say I want to find iPhone. iPhone must be what must be displayed, and the element which has the text, we must find it. So I will write a sentence and I will going to find the driver dot find element by, I will assume I will find by XPath again. I don't have the expression yet, but I know I will gonna get its text and must be equals to iPhone. Notice that I am not throwing a message. I can say iPhone label not found. If iPhone is not equals to this driver.find element, and its text is not iPhone. So let's find the element, the tag, right? So the tag we can find this way here, or we can improve it. Let's see it. Okay, three mention nodes. No, okay. RHA card. Okay, let me see one small thing. We can write something like this. Let's improve this XPath. We can go for something like this. Like we can see all divs, right? Oh, sorry, div. All div, and I am looking at the class of the div. This class caption, right? If I mouse over this, it displays here, and my iPhone link is inside of that div class. So I will use the class attribute. So I will type div equal class here, because I'm gonna find for its class, and class is caption, right? So let's find this. Okay, I am here. So now I need the link inside. So I can probably use a, and there it goes. It's the div, which class is caption here, right? And the link inside it. So this is fine. I will take this and I will put it here. So give me the text of that link. Must be iPhone. So let's run it. JUnit. iPhone. Okay. It already finished. Okay, the first assertion failed, so the second one was not executed, which is fine. We already talked about this. So I will comment or fix, let me fix instead the first assertion and execute this again. Okay. Okay, it already finished. And this is fine because it's finding the iPhone text. So instead of iPhone, assume I wrote Mac. So it's gonna search Mac and will not find it because it's fine because we search for iPhone. But if we have an issue, it will detect it. So let's execute it. Okay, and then execute it. And as you can see, it fails. This is the issue. Or JUnit comparison failure. iPhone label not found. Right? It is. iPhone label not found. Expected Mac. Okay. We ask them to Selenium to find for Mac, but the element get the text and was iPhone. Okay. Okay. So we have two asserts, but remember we had verifications and asserts. So in this case, maybe I don't care about the price. I don't care. But if I use an assert, my execution will stop, as we noticed my previous run. So what we have to do, we have to use try and catch, right? What we usually use for catch exception. So first, if here let's type try, and here let me format my code because it's horrible. Okay, try, and my catch start here, and I will get the error as an E, or E. Okay, so if this fails, okay, what we are gonna do is add to the verification error, right? We declare we will append the error we found. So verification errors, right? Dot append will add the string we want to the error, because verification error could append more than one string. So if there is a string, it will append this to the existing one and will concat both, right? So what I'm gonna type here is the price is not the expected, right? And what else? Okay, plus E, which is the error, right, to a string, because it's a string. To a string will retrieve me what I found. So verification error now was null, right? Was empty. Actually, not null. Was empty because I instantiated the variable here. So was empty. So if my verification of the price fail, okay, I will catch it. The assert, the final, or my script will continue running, but my verification error will append that error. Okay, so let's finish my test And I'm gonna use another notation you will be introducing now. First of all, let's run this. Nothing will, you will notice that run as JUnit. Okay, the asserts will both must pass. Okay, Mac, but was I? Okay, yes, I remember. I forgot to change this. But well, iPhone, okay, and this, okay. Let's switch to 2 and see what's going on here. See what's happened. The price is wrong, but the label is fine. So let's see again what's happening. Green, right? Because we try and catch the verification error. But you can say, okay, but if I have a verification error, my test is passing. What's going on? I need this test to fail. Okay, how we do it? Let me show you. So my test finished, right? So we can use the tag we saw some minutes before, the after tag. After each test finishes, after, we can declare a public, right? Void, remember, tear down. We can name it whatever you want, but usually it's tear down, right? And here, first thing we're gonna do is driver.kit, right? This sentence closes Selenium's instance, right? Close Firefox in this case, right? Then what we have to do is, if we have to ask, is verification error here, we must ask first, let's declare string, just a second, sorry, this no. We must ask first, sorry, I was gonna say how we notify that we had a verification error. So we need to ask for an if statement. We need to ask if empty, right? It's equals what? Verification errors, right? So if verification error is empty, sorry, if it's not empty, we have to negative. If it's not empty, right, we must do something. What we are gonna do? Remember, I told you fail, right? Fail was a sentence that it's executed no matter what happened before. It will fail my test. So I will ask fail, sorry, fail verification errors. Verification errors. Oh. Why is not verification error? Let me see why fail is not working here. Fail. Let me try to import it again. Let's fail. I have some issue with my, it's error.junit assert fail. Let me import just in case. Let me try to import manually. Import. Pretty sure it's import static. Just in case. Static. Pretty sure it's on org. JUnit. Org.junit.assert. Okay, dot fail here. Pretty sure assert fail. Let's try again. Fail. And the string. Okay, yeah, it's working. So verification error. I don't know why I didn't import it. refer that to string. Okay, yes, you must, and it's a buffer, right? You need to call to a string method because fail, which is included on JUnit, test unit framework. You can see I had to import it manually because was not recognizing it. It's inside org JUnit assert fail, right? So it receives a string, right? Let me see if we can see it. Okay, string message. So let's execute it again. So what will happen is the first assert fail, second assert pass. The first assert message was stored, was appended to the verification error string buffer, which is here on line 19. So after my test finishes, after method will execute, will close the Firefox instance and will ask if verification error is not empty, which means an error occurred, will fail and show the error, which makes sense, right? If not, we'll pass. So let's execute both. Run as the unit. Okay, cool. It failed, right? And here is the failure. We were expecting 1, 2, 3, right? And we received 2, 2, 3, which was the error. So I will switch to 1, and now my test should be green again. Oh, let's see what's going on. Search. Subscribe iPhone 42. To stream probably. Okay, because it's not was not null. Sorry. Okay. Okay. And what the mistake I made was like I was able to ask if verification error as a stream buffer was null, was empty. Sorry, was empty, but not the string. And yes, makes sense because I declare here and I initiated the variable. I created a new, so was not empty, was not equal. So that's what was why the failure was here. So let's add a new stuff and test that for sure is failing. So let's save it. And another thing we can do on driver, we can do this to maximize the Windows driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. It will maximize the window. So let's see that the Windows is maximized, and now with this little bug I fix, the test will fail. Okay, run out JUnit test. Okay, Windows maximized. Okay, it fails, and because of the price I made, so the change. So let's execute it so to be sure it's still passing. Everyone is experiencing issues with my screen share. Please send me a message if you have any issues, because I have one participant that is experiencing an issue, and I wanna know if everyone is able to see my screen. If not answers, I assume everyone it's Fine. Okay. Well, now let's implement another new thing I will show you, and we will create a page object, right? So remember I told you we had a page object pattern. Okay. Sorry, web element. So the way we declare a web element is the following way. So I will create another test. So new class, right? I will name it test search 2. And in this test, I will only take some stuff from here, important stuff like the WebDriver instance. What else? Well, the test, and I will remove some stuff here. Is test 2. I will remove these verifications from here. I will only the asserts just to have some asserts. Okay. And the tear down, I will only keep the kit method. Okay, good. Okay, so let's talk about web elements. Remember, web element is a representation of an HTML element, right? So the way we can declare a web element is this way: is web element. In this case, let's import it. Oh, sorry. Web element. Web element. Web element. Import web element. Okay. In this case, I will use input search. Will be the input search, right? And this is the input search, right? So I can do this, right? Let me explain. I declare a web element, which I name it input search, and how I find it, the way we were doing it before. Driver, find the element by XPath, search input, the XPath. So now I can do this, the following: input search, right? Equals, sorry, input search. I just did input search dot, and I have all the functionality. I can click it, I can find more elements, or I can compare it. So I will send keys iPhone, right? But what if I want to do another thing with that element? I can just name it again, input, I can call it again, and I can get an attribute, let's say, attribute ID, if it has, right? And store it in a variable string input ID equals this, right? And here on input ID, the attribute ID, if it has, will be stored, right? So I start saving lines of code. In other way, I have to type again driver, find the element by XPyth, send keys iPhone. Driver, find the element by XPyth, give the XPyth, and get attribute text, and so on. Every time I want to interact with an element, I have to type driver, find the element. So I can avoid that just doing driver, find the element, right? And equal that to a web element. Okay? So that's the way we use web elements. So let's declare another more web element button, search button, let's say, search button, which is the magnifying glass, equals to this, okay. Oh, sorry, web element, okay. So, and I can say search button, again, dot click, right? So let's execute it. And see how now it's using web elements. And we're saving lines of code. Green, okay. So now we are using fail elements. Okay. Well, let's start creating page objects. First of all, as we had some breaks and we started a little later, I will take at least 20, 30 more minutes to finish the concept and create the page objects. Sorry about that. I hope you understand me. So I will continue. In case you want to take another break, just ping me, send me a message, and we can take 5 more minutes to go out and drink some water, go to the restroom, or take a call or whatever you need to do. Just let me let me know. Okay. In case you don't type it, I will continue until I receive a message and we can stop. Okay. So let's continue. So in this second test, the only thing we did was using web elements. So please use web elements when you can, because maybe for these two scripts the usage of web elements is almost the same, but in case you need to interact uh, uh, with the same element, if you have a web element declare, you can reuse the web element instead of writing the same sentence again and again and again, which is driver find element by, right? So you will save many lines of code. Okay, so let's create some packages. Remember, we need to encapsulate the behavior, the actions, and the interactions of a class, of a page in classes. So we need to create a package which we will name it pages. So again, on source, new package, let's name it pages because we'll include all our pages, right? Remember, we talked about a base page. So we need to create a base page, new class, uppercase, remember, base page. And we will create at abstract. You can, I thought I was able to mark here. You can mark it as abstract because the base page is not an actual page in our application. It's the base page, right? It's the higher hierarchy page we will have in our application. So uh, let's mark it as an abstract. So finish. So you will notice the class signature is public, okay, abstract class, right? So here we will need, all our pages will use Selenium, right? So we need public static WebDriver driver. We need an instance. We have to import WebDriver. Okay. Then let's create the constructor of of this class. Will be public base page web driver, which will receive an instance of the driver. And here we have to base driver. Sorry, base page. Base page. Let's name dot driver equals to the given driver. Okay. Another thing we need to do is driver. We can, as every page will do the same, manage punto dot sorry punto dot timeout, and we will specify the implicit wait. So implicit wait 30. Let's say 30 seconds. And remember, time unit dot seconds. Another good practice is we can declare here, instead of used 30, the number, we can declare a constants class, and from there have constants values and import them, right? It's a good practice. We can do it later, but today I'm sad we are running out of time, so probably next time. Driver. So manage dot windows dot maximize. Right. Another good practice we're gonna do now is we need to verify that we are in the page, right? And to be sure we are on the correct page, we need to locate an element. We can locate by the title of the page of a unique element that is displayed on a page. So I will define a public final method, public final boolean, and I will name it. It's low. It's fine. It's loaded, right? Will not receive any params, but will return, right? If let me see what we can do here in order to get it better. We can create a. Let's stop this function for a second. And let's create a function. Let me see. Return. Let me see. Driver. No, the best way to do it, we can implement another method which we can name. We can name it public boolean is element present, right? By locator. Oh, sorry. We will find by locator. Just try, and we will try to find the element. So driver dot find element locator locator, and we will return true. Return true. We find that. Sorry, return true and catch here. The exception that this row is no such element exception. Exception. And let's name it E, sorry. And return false if it didn't find it. Yes. And here we can return the previous method. This let's import this also, the by from Selenium. This function return true if it finds an element and false if not, right? And this method, which must be used in the page that will implement this base page, will be in the following way. Will return if is element present, by locator. We must give a locator, and how we're gonna do it is we're gonna give this dot. I will define the following method. So I will receive an error, get page load locator, right, as a function, and I have to define this to receive an error. This base page is a little tricky, but I will explain you in a minute. So public abstract by. So this method must be implemented on the pages that implement this base page. So first thing, the base page will have a driver. This is fine. The base page will receive an instance of the driver and will share the instance of the driver with every page that implements the base page. Also, the implicit weight of every test page, base page of our application, of every page of our application will be 30 seconds, and the windows will be maximized. Also, we will have a method to ask if it's loaded, which how it's implemented. Okay, it's use a function which is element present, which is declared on the base page. Also, we can have these functions on a utility class outside of the base class, and we can call that utility class, and although that functionality can be used between all the pages, so on. So this, if it's element present, if the element is present, that we will define it on the get page load locator function, right? That means that we are on the page we are expecting to be. So now we have that the base page. We can start creating our specific pages of the application. So the first page we have to create is the home page, right? Let me close all Firefox instances. So we must create this web page. So how do I know I am on this web page? From the title, your store, or we can say, okay, this banner, slideshow, right? It's always in the home page. So if this is displayed, it means I am in the home page. So let's create the home page. Right click, new, class, home page. Please don't make it abstract. Home page, and we must extends here, base page. So add unimplemented methods. The first method that we must to implement, right, is the page load locator. So which means we are in the home page, right? So I have to return, we can do it, return by, because it's return a by dot. We have been using expat. We can switch to ID, let's say, and I will provide the ID, which is the ID of the home page is slideshow. So I will take it, copy it, and paste it here. So when we create this page, we create an instance of this page, we'll execute the get page load locator, and if it is not found slideshow 0, will throw an error, right? Telling that we are not in the home page. Okay, so another thing we need to declare is the constructor, right? So public homepage we'll receive a web driver, and here we will use the constructor uh, driver. It parents its superclass constructor driver, and we are passing the driver. We need to import it, driver. Okay, and also we need to call if this dot is loaded. Remember, we define it on the abstract base class. Let's throw an exception. Show new legal state exception, right? Let's put a message inside it, like this is not the Abstracta open card home page or homepage page. Okay, so we have the constructor. We'll first check that if we are correctly located in the home page, and also if we if we are in the correct web page using this get page load locator function. So now let's define the elements. So which elements we will have in our home page? Let me show you. We will have the input search, right, and the button search. So let's define it, right? We already did it. So we need to define private web element, web element, btn search, right? Let's import web element. And we also need to private web element input search, right? Well, how we identify these elements on a base page, Selenium provides us a annotation which is named at find by, right? Let's see if I can import it. Import find by, it's from Selenium, find by, and we need to specify how. So we must type how equals, and you must type how dot, and you can say how dot expat class name ID partial length text tag name and set expat. So we're gonna use expat, and then using how, which is the expat, and we must find it. So how we find it? btn search, we already did it. So the btn search from the previous script is this. So I will copy and take it to my home page. The same I have to do for my input. So find by how equals how dot expat using equals my input. So I have to search for my input. This is my input. Okay. And then I have to provide, these are the element IDs, right? So let's write some methods, because my page provides me, exposed to me functionality, like I can type here, blah, blah, blah. I can click here, right? So let's create those methods. How we do it? Simple. Public. Please, we have to use technical names, mnemotechnical names, names that mean something to the user. So I will start for the search product. So public void, because we will not return anything to me. Public void search product, right? But I need to receive a string of the product to search, right? Product. And after I have that, I can call the input search because I declare it on line 15. Input search dot send keys and the product I receive, right? So this method will use my input, which I declare here, and it will, after it find it, I will send the keys product. I will send the product addressed by parameter. And my second method, public, I will click on the magnifying glass button that will redirect me right to the search screen. So it will not be a void method. Um, it will return me a page object. So after I write that method, right, I will create the search page. So really quick, we will do it. The search, I will search for iPhone. Okay. So I will script this. What I need here, okay, I need to get the iPhone title, right, and the price. So on pages, new, again, new, class, and I will name it, right, search result, let's say, search result. Okay. Okay. And here on search result, I will need to find, again, right? Find by notation. Sorry, find by. And let's say how we're going to find it and what we're going to find. What I'm trying to find will be the label of the product name and the label of the product price, right? So now I'm going for the label of the product name, let's say. So how dot, I will do it by expat. Let me import find by search result. Sorry, and a thing that I miss is extends base page. We need to expand the base page. Okay. We need to add an implemented methods. Okay. What is going on yet? Yes, we need to add a constructor. We're gonna do next. We can do it now if you want it. I will do it next. I will complete that. So resuming, find by, import the find by. I will import the how expand, right? Using and I will search for the label product name. So let's go to search for that label. Remember, we already have it. Label product name. This is the label product name here. I will use it. Search result. And I will define my element. Will be a private web element of the product name. Okay, we need to import the web element here too. And I will do the same for the label product price. Add find by how equals dot expat using using let's no here this one, my bad. Okay, so private again web element and let's name it LBL as for label product price. Okay, I miss any here. Okay, methods that I need. I need a method to retrieve the product label name and the product label price, given a product name and a product price. So public string, let's write something like public string get product. This is really easy. Product get product price. Return LBL product name. Sorry, product price LBL product price dot get text, right? And another method, public string get product name. Return LBL product name dot get text. Okay. So now let's continue with the search result. Okay, we'll receive a WebDriver instance, super driver, and the same as the other, return by dot expat, let's say, and we need to identify an element right here, this for example. So h2, I can use a function to say, okay, second, okay, h2 which contains text. This is a function from XPath, so we can find an element, search for an element which has an ID of content, inside has an h2 which contains the text. I'm gonna give it products meeting the search criteria. So okay, this is, if I see this message, is because we are in the search page. So I will give this expression here. I missed something by expat. Search criteria. Let me see if I can see my back here. It's easier. Return by expat. Search result. But no, this is not in the constructor. Sorry, guys. It's here. I was supposed to write it here. Not in the constructor, in the get page load locator. There. I have two returns sentences. Okay. Okay. And now, yes, the constructor. So the constructor will ask if we are in the expected page. So again, if we need to write an if sentence. If we are not, this want to get page load locator. This is load this element. If we are not load, then throw right new legal exception. No, legal. No. Legal state exception. Let's say there it goes. Okay, legal state exception, and we will say this is not search result page. Okay. So we have two pages. So in the home page, we were writing a method to click the magnifying glass icon for search a product. So we are not going to return a void method. So we are writing public. We're going to return a search. After we click the magnifying button to search for an element, we are navigating to search page. So we need to return that page to use. So search, we name search result, search result page, right? We're gonna return that page, and we will name the function click search button, right? So input, sorry, btn search, we name it, not click, right? And after that, we click it, we must return the page, right? So return, and the way we return pages and we instantiate a page using Selenium WebDriver is the following way. It's page, right? Factory, let's show you, page factory, dot, init element, right? And it must receive the driver, a driver instance, and also the class we need to create. In this case, is search result dot class. So this method will click on the button search and will return an instance of page factory init elements of search result page. So once we click it, it will return a search result instance page. So we can start using the methods on search result, right? So going back to our test, right? We will need to create, now we have two pages, a base page, right? And going back to our test, if you notice, we are always writing driver Firefox, new Firefox. We avoid now creating and writing driver manage timeouts and windows, but we are still writing driver get the URL, Firefox, driver kit. So we need to have a base test. The same way we have a base page, we need to create a base test, right? So the way we create a base test is really easy. So right click, new class, name, well, let's name it base underscore test, right? We can mark it as abstract, and we need to type protected, right? WebDriver, because we will use the WebDriver. Driver. Also, we need, well, we will use a home page. You will see why, protected home page. We will name it home page. We need to import this, import WebDriver, and import the home page from my pages. Okay. And inside the base test, we need to create a setup method. So we can use the notation before, right? So before each test we need to import it from JUnit. Let me see. It doesn't mean, well, okay. I will do it later. Before, it's fine. So public void setup, which will be the class we will use to set up everything. Let's see if I can import it now. Okay, from JUnit. Okay. We will say, okay, driver, new Firefox driver, as we did before. So which means all my tests will use Firefox driver and driver get, right? Let's say here, if I want all my tests to open Abstracta, because I am over Abstracta homepage, I can put it here. So I can type http opencard.abstracta.us, right? And homepage, I will create an instance. Remember, page factory dot init element driver dot homepage dot class. Oh, sorry, homepage. Okay. So before every test start, we'll create an instance of Firefox, and we'll open the OpenCard Abstracta US page, and we'll create a home page, right? Um, we started the home page. After that, we also need to set the tier down. After, we are almost finishing, guys, sorry. After, right, public void tear down. And tear down driver dot kit. Let's import this. Okay. Well, we'll create our test using page object finally. So new class test search. Let's name it number 3. Okay. And we will start creating this. Okay. Check how easy and fast it is. Only a few lines. Remember the first test? Close to, well, 46, 45 lines. Let's see here. So, okay, let's create our test, public void test 3. Let's mark it as a test. Okay. And inside here we have to extend this, sorry, from our extends, right? Our base test. And here we have the variable homepage. On homepage, we need to search for a product. So notice it's homepage dot, and I have all the methods that I can execute there. We created search product, and the product we're gonna find is iPhone, right? After that, we can say homepage right? Dot click search button, because we need to click the search button. This method was defined on the home page, on the page object of the home page. And after that, let's see how this runs first. So in 2 lines, I can search for an iPhone and click the search button, right? Because all the code is inside the page object. So it's open card, search for iPhone, and it finishes. So now we are using page object, right? Okay. So next next thing to finish and wrap up this. Let's add some asset verification here. So what we have to write is something like assert. So assert must be in our test equals, and let's assert the product price. So we can say product price, sorry, the label, the name, product label name. This is the message we're going to spray. Remember, the click search button returns an instance, I step here, of search result page, right? So we can do this search result, search page equals is what it returns. So I can search, now I have an instance of search page, right? So product label name, which is on the search result. So I can search result page dot get product name. This is the advantage of page object, get product name, right? Plus is not the expected, and I must put the expected iPhone in this case. Not expected, sorry. Expected iPhone, I can give it here because it's not parameterized. Okay, iPhone, right? And then again, search result, search page, get product name. I must compare with iPhone. So if it's not the same, seems I have a similar. Okay. Okay, this assert, what we'll do, let me show you, will display the message product label name, the product which is in the page is not expected iPhone, right? If search page dot get product name of the name of the product page is not iPhone, we'll display this. This is to make the to retrieve a really good and easy to understand message. So let's execute this. And then we'll execute the same, but trying to find for an element that is not present. It passes, but if I try to find, instead of iPhone here, Mac, it will fail and display me a message. We can do the same with product price, right? It failed, and it will display me this message. Product label name iPhone is not expected. iPhone expected. iPhone, but was Mac. It means it finds Mac instead of iPhone. Okay. So I need 10 more minutes to explain you how to run this same test with parameters and how TDD works, because now we are only creating tests that only works with iPhone, right? And if we need to use this with not only with iPhone, with MacBook, with Samsung Galaxy Tab, or whatever product we want, we need to copy and paste the test, and that's not the idea. We need to parameterize this test. So to do it, what we have to do, we need to import a new library, right? So it's right click, build path, configure build path, add external jar, right? So add JUnit params 1.0.4, which I ask you to download. If you were not told to download it, I will show you where you can download right now. I will add it. Let me find the page. I will paste in our chat which is the link, the exact link, and the download will start automatically. You have to download. It's really there to everyone from Maven repository. It will download you a jar. Please, you need to add that, and I will show you how to parameterize this. To do it, after you add the library, you have to use the notation add run with, right? And the unit, let me run with, okay. You have to import or JUnit runner run with JUnit params runner dot class, right? That means this class will be executed by another class, which its name is JUnit params runner, right? You already add that class. And this test will receive, right, an item to search and a price to search. So we have to define it on the test signature. In this case, test 3 is our test signature. So we need to define a string search and string okay, search price. Okay. And where is the data coming from? Okay, we can create a CSV file. How is an easy way to do it? Is click on the search project label, right click, new file, right? And name it products dot CSV. Finish. It will open Excel, but we're not going to use it. And right click, open with text editor, right? Open with text editor. And there, let me do it. We can specify what we are going to search. So let's say iPhone, and we use comma separator, the price, which was 123.20. I remember 123.20. Let's search for another item. Let's say Samsung Galaxy Tab. Okay, so I will copy this, Samsung Galaxy Tab. Samsung Galaxy Tab. 10.1 is the model, and the price was 10.1, 241.99, 241.99, right? And let's save it, just in case. Save. Okay. And from our test, we need to tell where is that file to be used. So the way we do it is using another notation, add file parameters, and we need to give the path. So the path is source slash products.csv, right? And here, when we are using home search product, we don't need to specify and hard code iPhone. We need to use the search. We click the button, the product name label is not expected. iPhone is not, because it's hard coded. We have to add search because we search, and search product name, not longer iPhone, is search, right? So now this test, it's consuming the data from the CSV file. iPhone, it's the first item, and we'll search for 123, the price, .20, and Samsung Galaxy Tab, which will be the second iPhone, the second item to search, and we'll try to find for 241.99 price, right? So let's execute it. So the first one, looking for iPhone, search. 1 second test, will launch Samsung Galaxy Tab .1. Okay, what's happening? And it's fine to have a failure. The first item, it's fine, the price, but the second one, it's having an issue here. Let me see if I can here. We're trying to find Samsung Galaxy Tab with T of tab in uppercase, but it's finding Samsung Galaxy Tab with T in lowercase. So in our product CSV, let's put it in uppercase and execute it again, because it's case sensitive, remember, because it's assert equals, right? We can convert everything to lowercase or uppercase if we don't care if it's on uppercase or lowercase. So let's execute it. We can see two tests are running, iPhone and Samsung. We also can see how the page maximize, look for an iPhone, finish and close the execution. Also reopen Firefox, search for Samsung, assert, and then close the execution again, right? And we have two successful tests. So until now we have used page object pattern. If any change comes to my application, any new change, we only need to update the pages, in this case homepage or search result, right? We can now parameterize our test. We can use TDD, testing data driven, right? We are also using JUnit advantages like before methods, after class methods, everything JUnit provides to us, all related to page object, like how to find the elements, right? As I told you when we begin, remember, now we are scripting in 21 lines, right? And when we started, our first test was like 46 lines of code. And it's a really, really small test. right? If you go to the lines, we scripted actually for our last test only 2 lines, right? To execute all we need. So finishing, let me uh, give it a quick summary, right? Of how is now our automation behaving, right? With page object, it's really with the exercise. So the result, the test code is very readable. Yes, you know, now you can read and can see that we can read our code: home page, search element, click search button, verify text. So everything is easier to read. We are not duplicating code. There is no code duplicated. Also, there is no duplication of Selenium API calls. The documentation is interactive. You may notice that I have been continuously pressing Control plus space, and all available functions were displayed. So it was really easy and fast to script a test. We reuse the code, as I said, and this technique, as I always say, is framework agnostic, right? It has been used with Selenium, right, with Selenium WebDriver, with Watir, with another implementation of Selenium, and many others, right? So, for the moment, I want to thank everyone. Thanks for staying to this time, because I know I use a little more of the time that we expected. So thanks for joining us today. Any question you have, please drop us an email or send some question in the chat. Um, and well, I hope to see you on our next events. And bye. And actually, we will send you this video so you can see and check everything we have been working today, right? Okay, thank you, and thanks for joining us. Bye.